keep you up higher. Something about me's taking you higher, and you ain't ever gonna come down. You ain't ever, I'm lighting your fire, and you ain't ever gonna go. Something about me's taking you higher, and you ain't ever gonna come down. You ain't ever, but you wanna love this.
I'm on mute again. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon session of our webinar series. This is day 2 of our Rediscovering Your Library in the New Normal webinar series for our students. For those asking for the link to the YouTube streaming, we'll be posting it in a bit, okay? And but first of all, we'd like to thank all our participants, our students who are here today. Also, those who have been with us since day 1, those who were here with us this morning. No, so we hope that has been a fruitful session for you. But we bring you another fruitful session. This time, let's talk about how to research smart. Okay, so let's see what our facilitator has in store for us today, what he can impart in terms of how we can make our research easy and how we can make use of our resources, or probably the tools and tips that we are already familiar with but are not able to maximize. So let's talk about that today. But before we continue, we wish to remind everyone of the following webinar mechanics as usual. The session will be recorded for documentation, evaluation, and dissemination purposes. Please note that by attending the webinar, you permit us to use any form of participation for such purposes. Each session will employ a quiz to gauge student learning and award a prize to the winner. The library staff will communicate with the winner. Only enrolled UP students can join the quiz. Winners should provide their UP student ID to verify enrollment, or UP ID number, student number rather. Questions will be collected via the Q&A box. This time we're using Pigeonhole. We'll send you the link to the Pigeonhole where you can type in your questions, and we'll answer them later at the Q&A portion. An evaluation form will also appear at the end of the session. We'll also post the link to the evaluation form. You have until the 15th of November to answer that. Digital certificates will also be given to participants who have successfully registered using their UP mail, participated, and answered the evaluation form. Those who wish to request a certificate but registered using a different email will have to send a proof of UP affiliation to libraryinfo.updiliman@up.edu.ph. Due to the large volume of participants, expect a considerable delay in the transmission of certificates. Okay, so we hope that's clear. Also, we've already been getting requests for certificates. No, they've been sending proof of UP affiliation, Form 5, etc. But the distribution of certificates will happen after all the sessions. So this webinar series will run until the 30th. So only after that will we be able to issue certificates. Okay. So searching for the correct source or sources need not be arduous. In this webinar makes searching effortless by learning how to employ smart search strategies. So before joining the University Library, our next speaker was involved in the establishment of the Metrobank Foundation Knowledge Center as a project associate of Librarian Yan Incorporated. Currently, he is a librarian at the Information Services and Instruction section, as well as the Filipiniana Book section of the UP Main Library. He earned his bachelor's degree in Library and Information Science from the UP School of Library and Information Studies, where he is also pursuing his master's degree. Let's all welcome Mr. A.D. Gideon De Castro.
Right, good afternoon guys. So let me just share my presentation. All right, so can you give me a thumbs up if you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, nice. Okay, so again, good afternoon. I'll be presenting the basics of smart research. However, I do believe that some of you are already familiar with this kind of topic. Obviously, you have classes which are intended specifically for research, right? So let's just treat this as a short recap or a review, if you may. Okay. All right. So I also have my game, just as the previous ones. So I will be posting the questions throughout my presentation. And what you need to do is obviously, like the previous ones, gather the letters or the correct answers first, and then I will ask them at the end of the presentation. Okay? So wait for my signal to reveal the code in our chat box. Right. So the prize is the Elsevier loot bag as well as 200 pesos. Okay. All right. So this is a short outline of what I'm going to discuss. So smart search, how to identify keywords, the basic tips and tricks, and some strategies. So actually, these strategies have been discussed earlier on by Toph as well as Arthur. So, however, let's have a demonstration after using our online subscription. Okay, so our online database. All right, so by definition, smart search actually involves using search strategies as well as keywords to identify resources that you need for your specific research and academic requirements. So that's just basically it. Okay. All right. So in terms of research, obviously you need keywords, right? So according to this specific definition, so keywords is any word or phrase used to identify the topic or theme of an associated online resource in order to facilitate indexing and retrieval by search engine. So various search engines, let's say for example, Google has also employed some search strategies and keywords, okay? Either to narrow down Right. So is my mic working? Okay. Yeah. I guess my mic is still working, right? Can you give me a thumbs up if my mic is working? All right. All right. All right. I had an error earlier. Anyway, so in order to identify keywords, first and foremost, you need to go back to your research question. So basically, your research question would define your keywords. So these are the usual nouns that could be found in your research, respective research questions. And additionally, let's say, for example, you found a leading article or journal or any book about your specific research, right? So at the end of that particular study or work, there are references and bibliographies. So that's a another good point or a reference that you could use in order to proceed with your research. Because sometimes, even if you have this book or material which is very relevant to your research, those references that you found in that particular book sometimes exceeds that particular authority, right? And lastly, you may also want to refer to a thesaurus or a thesauri. The reason being is that obviously some words might change in context. So you need to be careful in identifying or pinpointing the keywords that are pretty much what you really need in your research. Okay. So to avoid confusion as well. Okay. All right. So smart search using your keywords. So let's say, for example, you have identified what you're already looking for. You have actually a general idea of what you are looking for. Now, how would we, as researchers, as students, would be able to use those keywords to find our resource? Okay. Okay, so first off, start with broad search terms. So you don't need to get worked up in identifying specific terms, mostly in the sciences, engineering. So there are tons of words and search terms, keywords that you can use that might lead you on and would confuse you eventually. Okay, so first off, start with broad search terms. So the downside is that you could have a high recall, right? Because plainly speaking, you have just simply typed one or two words. So that is actually a problem. So you need to pay attention with that. So expect a high recall. However, given that you have a high recall, you can gain a holistic perspective on that particular subject matter or topic, right? So at least if you're not familiar, let's say with the Philippine government, from from there you will be able to branch with other topics and subjects attached to Philippine government, right? Which would lead you or may not lead you to another research option. So actually, some researchers have encountered, or at least for you students, you would encounter this scenario wherein, let's say for example, you're not familiar with a certain topic, and then you've searched on and on and on, and then you have a change of heart, a change of mind, and you want to change a topic, right? So these are some of the key uh, downsides, or I don't want to call disadvantages, but um, expected outcomes in searching using broad terms. Okay. Okay, so after that, you may now simply narrow down terms. So you have identified some terms, some keywords that are appropriate with your topic. So you can now identify them using, or at least combining it with our primary search terms. So let's say for this example, so Philippine government and the political party, Philippine government political unrest. Okay, so the good thing here is that you can now improve accuracy. Okay, so inch by inch, we are narrowing down on what we really want and what we are really looking for. Okay, so a good side on that is that it reduces recall. Okay, so let's say earlier you have 1,000 results. Let's say now, for example, by adding a couple of words or two, a few search terms, you may now have at least, let's say, 100 results. And from those 100 results, let's say what you really need are 10 of those. Okay. So it basically narrows down the entire process. And obviously, by searching, we don't ask what is it in the Philippine government, political party, etc., and then question mark. Obviously, we search using our keywords. Okay. Okay. So after narrowing down, using a couple of key terms, we can now use synonymous terms or words with our search term. So let's take this one for example. Philippine government political faction. So this is synonymous obviously with black cabal or even political parties. However, as researchers, as students, we need to be careful with these terms, or at least the results that we have, because some of them might have again a different context. Maybe in our government, let's say for example, a political faction and a political bloc is different in its function. However, if we're going to use a simple dictionary or by the definition itself, we can simply assume that faction and block are synonymous, right? And that would lead us actually to another second factor or an outcome, which is careful review. So we highly recommend, obviously, that as researchers, we would be required to read at least the abstract. So the abstract would give you a brief overview of what that particular article or that particular resource is all about, and that in a sense would actually consume time. Okay, so that entire process and time consuming from the point of analyzing which terms are synonymous or not, as well as scrutinizing those journal articles and those resources if they would fit our bill, all right, on our research question. So obviously, the answer with this is the answer to this would be time management, right? Okay, so all right, so we have now pinpointed how to simply search or at least identify our keywords and search terms. Now we're going on with our strategy. So one of the common strategies or smart search methods being employed by search engines in general is Boolean searching. Okay, so Boolean searching was developed by George Boole, and it involves the words and, or, and not to limit, broaden, or define your search. So George Boole actually uh, is a mathematician. However, he employed these philosophical or logical patterns to his work. All right. So thank you, George Boole, for providing our Boolean operators. Okay, so let's start first with end. So this has been again discussed by some of my colleagues. So using end gives you the ability to narrow down your search by locating materials that would include two or more terms in a single result. So I could simply put it using this Venn diagram over here. So basically, once you've used end between two keywords, you'll be able to retrieve both of them. So let's say, for example, um, keyword A and keyword B, my results, whether it may be in the title, in the abstract, or the subject, I would see both keywords A and B. So later, we'll have a practical example. All right. Next is OR. So OR, using OR gives you the ability to broaden your search by locating materials that would include two terms in a single result, or results solely with keyword A or keyword B. Okay, so once you've used OR and you hit search, obviously it would yield either keyword A only, either keyword B only, or similar to using the end function, both of them. Okay, so the downside obviously in this one is it broadens your results. So you'll have a high recall and you'll have a longer time processing what materials or resources you would need for your particular research. Okay, and lastly, not. So applying not would enable you to limit the results by omitting a keyword from the operation. So using this kind of operator would limit you to only one of your search terms, right? So next up, we have another process or operation, which is nesting. So nesting usually is involved with the parenthesis as an operator. Okay. So this smart search uses parentheses to keep concepts that are alike together and to tell the database to locate for keywords in the parentheses first, and it can also be used in conjunction with Boolean operators. So similar to mathematical equations or operations, first and foremost, you would need to operate uh, uh, the ones within the parentheses first, right? So it is just basically similar with this one. So, and again, somehow this is another logical, a simple logical operation as well. So let's take a look at this for example. So verbal or corporate within a parenthesis in communication. So when I click search, the results would be subjects or resources with verbal and communication, or entries with only corporate and communication. So I won't find resources having both verbal and corporate in them. Okay. And also there is an order of precedence concerning nesting and the use of parentheses. All right, so truncation symbols. So this truncation symbol is the asterisk. However, some search engines or other online databases use other symbols as well. So it is important, obviously, to know what the symbols they employ simply by going to introduction or looking for tips and tricks within those said online databases on what they use. Okay, so obviously, as this according to this example, so if we type person and then we use asterisk, we could have these search terms. So personal, personality, personification, and persona. Okay. So next one are quotation marks. So enclosing keywords or search terms within quotation marks would prompt the search engine to locate results containing the exact order. So let's see. So example here is library management and educational technology. So as for phrase searching, this is very useful in terms of searching by subject. All right. So library management and educational technology, I do believe are common subjects, whether it may be in library classification schemes. But then again, you can also still use this using titles. So let's say, for example, you're searching for something that would have 6 or 8 words, and then you want them in a quotation mark. You may do so, but again, some search engines have their limits, or online databases have their limits. Okay. All right. So next up is the wildcard search. Again, this may differ from one online database to another. So using the hash or question mark in order to fill in a missing letter or a missing letter or text. So for example, we have here ne hash t. So obviously, it would yield both next and nest in our results, and as well as for color. So it would yield the color simply with O as well as with OU. Okay, so same goes for behavior. So this kind of search is simply, or it just makes sure that you would receive all the possible results stemming from your search term. Okay. All right. So this is actually my first question. So what is the nationality of George Bull? So I guess I could give you 30 seconds. So kindly write the letter on a sheet of paper first. I'll ask all of the answers later on at the end of the presentation. Okay. So I'll give you 30 seconds. You should keep to your answer first. So I'll ask for the 5-letter code, all of them, at the end of the presentation. Okay? So keep to your answers first. All right. So I guess that would suffice. Let's move on. All right. So next off is the proximity search. So proximity searching is a method to search for 2 or more words that occur within a certain number of words from each other. So again, this differs. The operator differs from one search engine and online databases to another. However, in this case, this is one of the most common ones. So for near operator, we have N, and within operator, we have W. So let's take a look. What does these operators or operations entail? Okay. All right. So as for the within operator using W, using this function locates results within a certain number of words from one another in the order in which you entered them. Okay. So let's take a look at this example. So our entry, our basic search is sugar W5 economy. So what it would do, the search engine would gather results that would have both the words sugar and economy first and foremost, whether it may be in the title, abstract, or the subject. But in this case, there would be at least 5 words in between or less. Okay, so it may yield resources that has sugar, 2 words in between, and then economy, sugar, 3 or 4 words before economy. Okay, so this one is a title. So sugar manufacture and the agrarian economy of 19th century Taiwan. So how many words do we have between sugar and economy? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we have 4 words. So it fits the operator. Okay, and obviously this is in order. So we typed sugar first and then economy. So it yielded obviously in the title the word sugar first, after which is economy. Okay. So how about our near operator? Okay, so using this function finds the words within a given maximum number of words apart from one another, regardless of the order in which they appear. So as compared to the within operator, using N or the near operator for proximity search would help us yield or find results that have at least a maximum of 2 words in between of our search terms. So let's take a look at this example. So we have economy, N2, and development. So the results would be titles, subjects, or even abstracts that would have both economy and development in them, or vice versa. Maybe development is the first term in a title, or maybe economy uh, would be following development. Okay. So for example, sustainable development of basin economy and marine economy. So if you'll take a look at this one, development was first. There were 2 words in between development and economy, and there are following that a second economy word. Okay, so that is possible. Right. However, this near operator sometimes malfunctions. Actually, sometimes uh, it searches similarly as using the within operator. So I prefer you guys use the within operator rather than the near operator. Okay? Because obviously using within, you'll also be able to yield search results using the near operator. Okay? So a second example, so the shadow economy and sustainable development. So here we have 2 words in between. Economy was placed first, then development. However, the word development was could still be found in the subtitle or parallel title of the work. Okay. So again, I highly suggest you use the within operator rather than the near operator. Okay. All right. So advanced search. This is another smart search which is actually already embedded in online databases. So these are already developed in-house by the publishers themselves. So this function allows you to perform a search by utilizing several facets and filters simultaneously to obtain specific results. So just like what Toph showed us last time using to class, he used actually the advanced search for to class wherein he identified which type of material, which type of book, is it physical, is it digital, even by location, as well as the publication dates. So most search engines employ this kind of tool specifically to aid users in narrowing their results, right? So here are some examples. You can narrow them down sometimes by language, again by title of publication. So this is useful if you have already pinpointed numerous or several journal titles, let's say in your respective field, right? So what you're going to do is just go back and forth. So I'll show this one to you later as well. Okay. Next is the publication date, just as what I have mentioned earlier, publication type and document type. So some search engines also has tick boxes in them as well as drop down menus. Some would also go as to identify if you want graphs or images in your search results. Okay. All right. So this is my second question, and I'll give you 30 seconds. So again, keep the answers to yourselves first. All right, I guess that would suffice. That's my second question. All right, so that being said, I'm going to demonstrate those simple tips and strategies using Academic Search Complete. So this is one of our online subscriptions. So might as well show you how to access Academic Search Complete. So let me just share my browser. So could you see my browser, ladies and gents? Give me a thumbs up, please. All right. See if you hands thumbs up. All good. All right. So again, just as what Arthur said earlier, you can access our remote access protocol using this URL. So easyproxy.upd.edu.ph. Okay. So I'll enter my own account. So hopefully it won't be slow. So academic search complete. This is EBSCO. We're gonna go in directly to that particular database. So EBSCO offers also a wide array of databases within them. So I'll show you here. So you can actually choose other databases here. However, we're going to dwell on academic search complete. I think EBSCO and our other online subscriptions would be discussed tomorrow. Okay. All right. So for our example, let's use our Boolean operators first. All right. So let's take Philippines and Japan as our keywords or search terms. So let's search for Philippines using the end function and Japan. So hopefully the outcome would produce results having both Philippines and Japan in them, whether it may be in the title, in the subject, or in the abstract. All right. So that's a basic search. So there
ED,
you go.
sorry.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in the screen a little bit so that they can see it better?
Sorry.
Thank you.
More? All right. So I hope that would do. Hope that would suffice. Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. So as you can see here, we have 4,130 results, using both Philippines and Japan. So obviously in the title, we can see here it is evident we have Philippines and Japan. In the abstract or a brief overview or information about this particular article. And also we have here in the subject. So we have Philippines and Japan in them, so on and so forth, right? So how about we use the function or? So hopefully this would yield results having only Philippines, having only Japan, or having both Philippines and Japan in them, similar to the end, using the end operator and its results here. Okay, so, or Philippines or Japan. Okay, so as you can see from 4,130 results, this time it yielded 1,065,000 results. So it became broader. So we have a high recall because the search engine or EBSCO retrieved even articles that would only have Philippines or that would only have Japan and that would have both Philippines and Japan. So the 4,130 articles that we have searched earlier obviously are included here. Okay. However, obviously it would prioritize results that would have both keywords and search terms. So we can see again here the results that we use in N. However, this one, just what I've mentioned, we only have Japan, so we can't have Philippines in them, right? So this one we have both. Well, maybe this one is maybe associated to Philippines or Japan as well. Okay, so again, we have just used the basic search, right? So how about our not operator? So let's take Philippines, not Japan. All right, so this would only yield entries just simply about the Philippines. Okay. So obviously evident here, we only have Philippines, Philippines. All right, so there's no Japan there. Okay. So hopefully we'll be able to utilize those functions. Next one is we have phrase searching. So let's use our examples earlier, which are educational technology and library management. So educational technology is a recognized subject altogether. So let's see if we would have results that would have these words in order. So not technology education, but rather education and technology only. All right, so using basic search, we have, educational technology. It's a recognized subject, recognized discipline, field. So there we have it. How about this one? Okay, so we have educational technology here. Okay. How about this one? Okay, so it's in the subject as well. So on and so forth. All right. Or maybe you want to search by title. So let's go to advanced search. All right. So this is what I'm talking about using advanced search. So for EBSCO, they have designed this database actually to have Boolean operators in them. So you can narrow down the search results that you want. Okay, so if you want full text, if you want scholarly or peer-reviewed journals, you can easily tick the box, document, etc., etc. But this kind of feature, I guess, would be discussed tomorrow in some of our online subscriptions. Okay, so let's take a look at library management. Library management in the title. So for EBSCO, they gave you an option here. There's a drop-down box to identify what field you're looking for. So we have other fields here. So let's look for titles. Okay, so it yielded 213 results. So as I have indicated here, I want library management to be in my title. And voila, there you go. Okay, however, this one is in Spanish. So I found it here in the abstract. Okay. All right, so let's go back to basic search. How about our truncation using the asterisk? So I have an example here. Say, for example, hist. So wild guess what search words or search terms will we be able to find with hist? All right. So obviously, the search engine would find or would be the one actually to locate and dictate what letters or words they would combine with this word hist after the asterisk. So obviously we have history, we have historians, and we have historia. So so this one is in Spanish. So obviously it would be part of our results because obviously the search engine actually wouldn't care about the language unless obviously we filter it using our advanced search. So historia, histidine, histone, histamine, histiocytosis, so on and so forth. Okay, so hopefully that would be useful for us. Now, let's say for example, let's take a look at our proximity search. So again, let's use our basic search. So let's try and use our within proximity search first. So W, tourism, W, and I want actually 4 words between tourism and my second term, which is province. So the reason being I use W is because W is being used by EBSCO itself. Okay, so again, take note, the proximity search differs from one online database to another. Okay, all right. So let's click search. All right, so let's take a look at for this one, for example. So this is the title. So between tourism and province, we have 3 words. So this one, we have at least 2 words in between them in the abstract or background information. This one we have 3. This one we have 2, so on and so forth. So this one is 1, 2, 3 words. So there you go. So again, using the within operator, it would yield results which have 1 word in between your search term, 2 words between your search term, 3 or 4 words between your search term. Okay. So let's take a look now at the our near operator. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for information or my research is about uh, engagements in a bay. So bay as in a body of water. So let's say Battle of Manila Bay or so on. So battle, and then I want at least 2 words between the word battle and bay. A maximum of 2 words between battle and bay. Okay, so let's see. So this is the title. Okay, so there is. So we have it in the overview or abstract. So Battle of Quiberon Bay. So we have 2 words there. Battle of Mobile Bay. So we have 2 words there. Quiberon Bay, Table Bay, Milne Bay, Maple Bay, all kinds of bay. Okay, so that's for the proximity search, right? Okay, so let's go back to our presentation. So I'll close this first. So let's go back. All right. So another thing that I want to point out is some online databases, some of our subscriptions actually have employed their very own smart search guides and tools. Okay. So let's take a look at Gale eBooks, for example. Sorry, so let's just go to Easy Proxy once more. Okay, so we have to find Gale eBooks. So in terms of ebooks, this would also be discussed tomorrow. So I won't be discussing them in depth, but rather that particular smart technology or smart function being employed by Gale eBooks. All right. Okay, so usually Gale ebooks take longer than other subscriptions. Okay. Okay, so again, this will be discussed, I guess, tomorrow. So let's go to advanced search. So the tool could be found here inside advanced search. Okay, so anytime now. Oh, by the way, please be mindful if ever the computer center or the help desk would have their regular maintenance. Most of the time, it affects Easy Proxy. So you might be wondering, there would be times where you can't access Easy Proxy, thinking that there is an error within your particular account, and you might send us an email, but rather there is actually a maintenance going on. So I suggest you like their Facebook page, okay? That of the computer center. Anyway, okay, so we're here. So the usual facets and filters, etc. Subject guide. So I want to show you this one, which is topic finder. So I'm not sure if you have attended some of my library orientation or some of my library orientations. So I'm going to use once more my staple example. So Jose Rizal. So I'll use Jose Rizal as my search term. Okay. All right. So anytime now. So I hope it works. This is actually a useful tool. So I guess I'll describe it now. So what basically this function does is that it would visualize a tile pattern wherein once we've entered our search term, it would visualize a degree of relationship or association with our key term. So let's say, for example, we have Jose Rizal, right? Obviously, the color pattern is red, yellow, and red, green being the farthest affiliation with Rizal. So it would yield results. Let's say, for example, Rizal is a writer, right? So it would yield results about writers, so on and so forth. Okay, so here it is. So hopefully it would search fast. So as you can see, visualization in tiles. Okay, so there you go. So we have here associations or relationships, a degree of relationship shown here with our search term result. So green being the farthest, so we have Republic, India Development Power, and Philippine American. So yeah, somehow it's still related to Jose Rizal. Yellow being Philippine Americans, President, Philippine history, so on and so forth. However, let's take a look at the closest resources in relationship with our search term. So let's click this tile, bigger tile. And within that tile, there are other smaller tiles, okay? So Philippine Revolution, so on and so forth, okay? So let's take a look at Philippine Revolution. So here it is. So it yielded 4 results. So these are actually indexed articles within Gale eBooks, okay? So this is most useful if, let's say, you are not familiar with the keyword or search term that you are using. So that in turn actually would relate it and retrieve results that are affiliated with that key term. So this is similar with searching for broader terms, right? And then once you click this, you would go to an article about Andres Bonifacio. Obviously, you will find Jose Rizal in the information there in the Filipino Revolutionary Movement, another article, Philippine Revolution and Filipino American novel. Okay, so I won't get inside these examples. These would be discussed further on. But again, I want to emphasize that some online databases and search engines have employed these kinds of tools in order to help us as users. Okay. Okay, so I'll close that now. And then let's go back to our presentation. Right, so this is my third question. So what is the URL of our remote access protocol? So I think this has been asked earlier on by Arthur and I guess yesterday by Toph. So this is the second time to redeem yourselves if you had an error earlier. Or this would be a bonus if you already know this question and has answered this earlier. Okay, so I guess the time would suffice. So I guess let's have a move on. All right, so I also want to point to you guys the importance of peer-reviewed journals in your research. So let's say, for example, you want credible and authoritative journals. You would like to use journal titles that are peer-reviewed. So meaning to say, these journals are being um, the submission to these journal titles are being reviewed by experts in those kinds of fields. So it may be a double blind review, so on and so forth. Example being, let's say, for example, I've submitted my research in a particular journal title. Those editors would scrutinize and dismember my work from its title, from the body, from the tone of what I'm writing about, from my results and recommendations as well as findings, so that once they publish it, for you users, you may rest assured that my article or my research work is pretty much credible. So in order to identify if a particular journal title is peer reviewed or not, you need to go to the journal title information. So similar to that of our UP Diliman journals online. So I think Tin yesterday showed the platform. So you can always view it in their journal titles platform. Okay. Next off is the research impact metric. So I want to show you this one once more, very quick. So let's go to Taylor and Francis online. So these metrics actually give you a figure on the citations of that particular research article as well as their social media coverage and their views as well. So let's put a title quick or a search term quick. So about a library. So this is Taylor and Francis, by the way. So let's take a look at this first example. Right, so you can see brief information about that. So you can see the views as well as a citation that I'm talking about. However, I want to go here specifically using the metrics. Okay. So you can see here the views, the citation. So you can see here it was cited by a different article and was published in Web of Science and it's alt metric. Okay. So I don't think if this alt metric is specific or only limited to Taylor and Francis. However, it shows the coverage of this particular article. Okay, so Mendeley, you have Google. So obviously, oops. Okay, so there you go. All right. So you can easily see them there. Okay, so a brief summary and Twitter demographics, mentally readers, score and in context. Okay, so I've shown you that just so that you are aware that there are metrics being employed by several online databases and maybe specific journal titles, what have you, in order to ensure or at least to give you a rough picture of the coverage or the impact of that particular article in the academy. Okay, so let's close that. All right. Okay, so tips to remember when conducting your research. Obviously, you need time management. It takes a while. Please be mindful of your deadlines as well. Second of which is please be patient. So it's you're going to have, I assure you, you're going to have a rough time in searching for resources that fits your research question. All right, next one is explore. So just as what I have shown you earlier, please do explore our online subscriptions. Most of them have their unique tools and technologies that would greatly aid you in your respective research process. So I hope at least I've showed you quite a few, and I guess it would be up to you to find those similar technologies embedded in those online databases. And lastly, whenever doing your research, please do think that you are doing the world a significant contribution. So maybe, obviously, let's say for example now this is an academic requirement, but in the future you may want to publish your works in these online databases, these reputable peer-reviewed journals, in order to contribute greatly to a certain group of people, society, or alleviate their social status in life, right? So that's what I'm going to leave you guys. And this is the fourth question. So which EBSCO database did we use earlier? So I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, so I think that would suffice. So academics search complete, academic search complete, academic search complete, or academics search complete. Okay, so that's our fourth question. So these are my references that I've used. And this is our fifth question. So what is the title of this particular webinar session? Pretty much easy, right? So A, the basics of smart researching, B, the basics of smart search, C, the basics of smart research, and D, the basics of smart searching. Okay, so if you're attentive and you paid attention to my very first slide, you would know the answer. Okay. So all right, I guess that time would suffice. So kindly write the code at the chat box now. All right. Okay. So our correct answers are, oh wait. So here are my answer, the correct answers. So the correct combination is BBDBC. So okay, so some of you send it to me privately. Okay. However, they're way back down there. So wait, just gonna need to scroll up. Okay, so our winner is Maris Tiangco. So congratulations, Maris. All right. So wait. Okay, so if you have any other questions for the nth time, kindly send us an email, message us in Facebook or so on and so forth, and you may also call us. So that ends my presentation. Thank you guys for participating.
Okay. Thank you, AB, for that very informative session. As we mentioned earlier, no, these things already, but they're not maximizing these tools, no, or these tips about smart research. So we hope that after this session, you'll be able to make use of them more often and that they will be useful in your research. So thank you um, to our students for joining the quiz and congratulations to our winner. But before we go on any further, let's share some of the questions that we have sa ating pigeonhole. Nakikita mo ba, Amy? Can you see?
Yeah.
Yes. Ayun. So, we have a total of 5 questions. Let me read the first question. Okay, wait lang. Someone raised their hand. May nagtaas ng kamay. Let's see, baka may gusto siyang itanong live. Can you see it? Can you see the name of the... Yeah, someone just raised their hand.
Okay, so it's gone. Maybe an error lang or what?
Oh, or let's address the question later. Pero ngayon, basahin muna natin yung mga nasa pigeonhole, no? Una po, itong question from Rosemary D. Although I think you've already inadvertently discussed this or answered this question. In searching databases, there are different navigation processes. Any tips on that?
Okay, so personally for me, always use the advanced search first. So that you can pinpoint what you really want from, if you want images, if you want graphs or illustrations, as well as if you want your results coming from a peer-reviewed journal. Most online databases have employed all of those options in their advanced search.
Okay. Well, I think to add to that, there's really not much of a difference in terms of navigating. If you're familiar with the common search processes or the common search tools used, no, halos pare-parehan, like nabanggit naman ni AB kanina yung Boolean, no, yung wildcard search, no, halos lahat naman may ganong functionality.
Actually, nagkakatalo lang sila o nag-iiba lang talaga sa interface eh. Pero yung function is the same. Yun lang.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's go to the next question. I'm very new to these. May I ask if I can combine them, 2 or more, like Philippine history and Japanese history, or even more?
Yes, you can. Let's say, for example, earlier, dun sa EBSCO Advanced Search, I've used, what do you call this? I've used the quotation mark. And if you notice, at the left-hand side, there are also Boolean operators. So you can use them there. So again, I highly encourage you to explore at least academic search complete for now. It's very basic and it's straightforward, so you won't get confused.
Okay, thank you, AB. Next, I want to search if a specific author wrote about a specific topic. Can the Boolean operator be used to yield results that contain the keywords in the title and author?
Yeah, Pretty much so. Similar to class, you can simply put the title as well as the author. Okay. So I don't think you don't need to use the Boolean operator there. So earlier I've used at the right part fields, right? So I've used title. So I think there is also a button or drop down, including within that drop down is author. So type the title and then another one at the bottom, just enter the name of the author and then select author in the drop down in the field.
Okay. All right. Thanks, AB. Ito, isang question naman from non-UP or yung mga from other campuses daw na students, can they also access the UPD library or do we have our own? I'm not sure if he was referring or this student is referring to the physical library or the online collection. Pero either way, you might want to.
And I guess this was answered yesterday. I forgot whose session it belongs to. Pero obviously, UP students can send us a request on, let's say, for example, you have already pinpointed a specific article. However, you don't have access. So we at the main library will try to find and access that particular item for you. Okay.
Okay. Of course, it's good to start with your own unit live, no? If you're from a different UP campus, it's good to start where you are. And then if you don't have it in your collection, it's not available in your collection, then you can ask your librarian to request on your behalf. No, if you're from a different UP campus. Okay. Pero syempre, nakadepende yun if we have the collection, if we have access to the material. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. In doing basic research, when can we say that wala na talagang results?
Right. So I'm doing basic research. When can we say that wala na talagang results?
Dead end na, parang ganun.
Maybe if you have exhausted all of the resources already, I mean, it's actually up to you when to stop. So it's pretty much subjective if you want to stop right there and there. However, personally for me, I would always exhaust all resources from one database actually to another. Because obviously, a journal title subscribed to an online database cannot be found within another online database. So sometimes that is the rule of thumb. So what I'm going to do, if I have exhaust the resources in EBSCO, I look for more resources in JSTOR, and then I look for more resources in Gale, so on and so forth.
Okay. Yung pagiging exhaustive no, nakadepende sa student, I guess. It's safe to say na, yun, ikaw ang magsasabi kung okay na. Hindi naman sa wala na, pero kumbaga, satisfied na yung search. I think ganon siya, no? So, it depends on the extent of your research. Okay. So, the last question from the Pigeonhole, how do I verify if the information I find isn't fake in different sites? Yeah, the information I found isn't fake in the.
Okay, so a great example concerning this are the predatory journals. Predatory journal. So you'll notice if it is a predatory journal is that always look at the submission tab or submission page in that particular journal title. And most of them actually would ask a submission that you pay first, okay? So peer-reviewed and official journals doesn't work that way. So they won't ask for a payment, but rather they would ask you to submit it first. So this information is actually useful not only for the ones who are submitting, but also for us as researchers and as well as for you as students. So as a student, let's say you found out that they're already asking for money, just plain written down there in their description. So there is a higher chance that it is already a predatory journal.
Yes, and in addition, if you if you obtain the material from our collection, from our subscribed resources, then there you can um well there's a guarantee there, no, that these are peer reviewed and they
authoritative
are.
and official, credible. So yeah,
So if it's from Google, then I don't know, maybe you can make use of fact checking sites as well.
yeah,
No? And part na rin yan ng information literacy. No? You know how to review the source and check the validity and the integrity of the publisher or the person who wrote the particular resource. Okay? All right. So I think we're done with the pigeonhole. Wala nang nadagdag na tanong. I'll stop sharing and check if merong mga tanong sa chat. Okay. O meron feedback dito. AB for you. I think this is for you because you facilitated this session. Glad to have attended this. Extremely useful. Thank you so much.
you're
That's
most
really
welcome.
to be useful. Yes, go ahead, AB.
Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you everyone for attending. We hope that we're gonna see you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you again, EB, for leading this discussion. Again, if you have questions about AB's presentation, can always send us an email or a message through our Facebook. Hope you can still join us tomorrow. We have to digging a little deeper with our online resources or our online journals, no, yung mga madalas gamitin na resources. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So, sana makasama namin kayo. There's an evaluation form or a feedback form posted in the chat box. So please answer that to help us improve how we do our webinars. We'll see you tomorrow for the third day of our webinar series. And mag-ingat po tayong lahat at manatiling ligtas. Okay?
Maraming salamat po. See you guys. Ladies and gents, see you tomorrow.